Hi, this is Wishop, and this is your February tarot reading for 2019. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. So these are mix and match readings. You can look at them in whatever order and whenever you like. This is the February row of tarot cards. This is the Golden Tarot, this is the Whimsical Tarot, and this is the Trick or Treat Tarot. So I'll just close up on these cards. I will refer to the cards from the previous reading, the upper January row, if it seems to work in. Otherwise, you can just watch the videos all separately anyway. Six of Coins. So hold that nice and close up so you can see it. The World. The center, the reading. Four of Pentacles, but in reverse. So let's look at this one upright so you can really see it. Okay, so many people think of the Four of Pentacles as a miser card. I think it can be also not just a miserly card, like holding on to too much money, or holding on to money above all things. But it can also be a card of power and responsibility. So it could be that you are holding responsibility that you don't need to. I often think when I see it in the Rider-Waite deck of holding the bag, you're sort of holding the bag for the people back here in the Rider-Waite, the people in the city. So there can be a sense that they're willing to give you the crown as long as you shoulder all the blame. So sometimes I see it like that, like you're holding the bag. So here, this character actually looks a little bit sheepish to me, as it's got all of these pumpkins with candy here. So you can think about whether or not you're holding on to responsibility you don't need, or property, material things that you don't need. We've got the World at the center of the card and Six of Coins. So again, very much a focus, and I've seen this in other readings as I've been doing these, on the material world, which kind of makes sense given all the planets in Capricorn right now. But your material world in terms of your finances, your career results, your earnings, your physical health. I think of your time as coins that you spend. So what are you spending your valuable time on? Your precious time, as we say. So here you've got the World in the upright. This is quite often a card that implies a sort of graduation, and I really like this one from the Whimsical Tarot, because instead of seeing the usual sort of beasts that represent the four evangelists or the four gospels or the four directions or elements, we have here the heart and the book. We have the shoes. Let me see if I can get this close enough for you to see. The shoes, like the ruby slippers, and the garland of victory. So here she is really like the good witch. She's got the wand, and she's like Glinda in the bubble, and she can grant every wish. So in some senses, the World can often be a card about graduation. You've graduated in some way, you've stepped through a threshold. But an interesting thing is Glinda shows up at the end in her big bubble to grant Dorothy's wishes, but Dorothy's biggest wish, going home, is one that she has the power to grant herself. So I sort of feel like here Glinda showing up is saying you have the power to grant this wish yourself. And with the granting of some wish for yourself, or some graduation, some initiation that you're in some sense giving yourself, you are going to let go of other material responsibilities or even stresses and burdens that you have had before. And if you felt very burdened about a material situation, this Six of Coins here is a card of having plenty. You know, it's a card that means yes, means full speed ahead. It's a card of reciprocity, of mutuality. It's a card that says what you put out, you get back. So it's a card of fairness. And if you share, you find yourself rewarded, perhaps in other ways, not necessarily directly in the same place you shared, but there's a sense that everything works out. You know, you don't stress if you don't get the last piece of pizza because you know it's going to work out some other way. And there's something going on here, because the World is a very profound card. Because it's sort of this graduation point again, as I know I've said, but it's the last card of the major arcana before we start with the Fool again. So it's as if we reach this balance point with some material situation. So it could be some situation that felt unfair forever. And now we reach this balance point that allows us to feel this concrete feeling of evolution and progress. So maybe you were in a work situation that didn't feel fair, and you've been working to make it better. You're going to get to that point. It's going to feel fair. And that lingering, burdensome, bad feeling associated with it, it's going to drop away. It's sort of like, because this is the Four of Pentacles and this is the Six, it's like we're getting past the Four. This is what's dropping away from us. And it's kind of getting further and further in the rear view mirror as this World card moves forward. Like you look at it, and even in coloration, it's dimmer than these other two. It's harder to see. I feel like it's in the background, and she's coming forward. And so whatever situation was unbalanced, and it could have been just anything. It could be work, could be finances, could be sharing of some other, maybe you've got custody issues and the sharing of time with the children has been a real challenge. And you're going to reach this new point. And it's partially going to be because you, in a way, become Glinda, your own good witch. You give yourself this wish. And you're able to do it because you have changed as a person. Like the whole point of The Wizard of Oz is that people change and they recognize their own intrinsic great qualities, right? The Scarecrow realizes he's smart. The Tin Man realizes how feeling and compassionate he is. The Lion realizes how brave he really is. This is you realizing something true about yourself that allows you to put to bed a sense of unfairness or imbalance in your material world. And this could also be a physical situation. If you've been dealing with some sort of physical imbalance that's really felt bad, it looks like, and maybe you've been holding on to that bad feeling, or that bad feeling has been hanging around, and you feel like it has commanded or dominated your life. Your ability to find a new kind of balance. This is, of course, not a diagnosis. It's just a looking at the energies, but an ability to find a new kind of balance could graduate you into a new kind of life where some of the restrictions that you've been feeling and the heaviness and the burden are going to be much lighter. You know, there's always the sense with this person sitting on this heavy throne in the Rider-Waite deck with all these coins weighing them down, and then she's in a bubble. She could not be lighter. She's lighter than air. So there is definitely the sense of reducing your burdens, sharing from your surplus, or getting help that you need from generous people in a way that feels equitable and nice. and it makes you lighter than air, and it allows you to soar over problems that you've been dealing with. So that is actually lovely. And that's what February looks like in the tarot card reading. I hope you're enjoying these mix and match readings. And until the next one, rock on with your bad selves.